Thank you so very much for joining us for another edition of the Coach's Corner. My name is Marcus Salette, aka The Coach, and I am so glad that you stopped by to join us for a ride. Talking about For More for Life, the campaign 30 days to begin to change, transition to a new direction. We talk more about being resolute than having a resolution. You have to tune in to the weekend drive for more of that as we approach or stand in the new year. But I want to encourage you today about the crowds and how to assure that you are not sidetracked from the attention, because I believe the attention can expose your intention. We'll talk more about it. Welcome aboard. Well, as we move forward into a new season and a new day, we want to get ready for many things. But as you know, we're on day 21 now, and we've been here for a while here. The For More for Life campaign is intended to get you ready to move up in life, not just with more stuff. Stuff is a byproduct of momentum. If you're able to maintain momentum and become more integral in the process as it reveals its issues and problems, you can then, of course, attract to yourself or magnetically pull to yourself those things that you may need along the journey. But those who focus centrally, and some can't help it, it seems, but those who focus centrally on stuff, while they may impress and have the go-getter's mentality, purpose and destiny is left often in the wind. And it is also so when it comes to your campaign and the response from the crowd. There are those who I believe, this is just a personal belief of mine, they're able to work that crowd. But I want to start off by saying that you, as you transition, you're going to build attention. Oh yes, you can't avoid it. We see often in the news for things that are negative, building attention for the things that have been done that is criminally wrong or illegal or immoral, if you will, immoral. But also we have to remember that there is a crowd for that which is good. Now, they may not be as articulate and as loud, it seems, in life as the crowd for the thirst for blood and guts, if you will. It seems that we have such a thirst for violence and bad news these days. But as you run your campaign for life, for more for life, you're going to draw attention to yourself. And really what I want to ask you, to be frank, is, are you ready for that? I wanted to use myself as an example. I remember when I came out from behind the camera, behind the studio desk, a few years back, and began to get in front of the camera. Of course, it wasn't really new to me. A lot of people thought I was new to interviewing folks and being out there in front and all that, but I had done that a wee bit time before, as the Irish would say, a wee bit time before, but there was a certain sensation that you still get. Of course, many of you that know me personally know that I was sent to music school, the Music Settlement in Cleveland, Ohio, and trained in voice and sang for many number of years. And so over the years in singing, I can confess to you that once you stand in front of that crowd, there's a wee bit of a sensation there. There's a sensation. So you may have the crowd at the job right now. You may have the crowd on Facebook, counting how many likes you have and how many people, follow you and subscribe to you. That's amazing. One day we'll talk about that. And then some of you have the crowd of your family. You can get them to watch you and listen to anything that you say. And others of you have friends that just huddle around you, and you just have their undivided attention. But that's just what I want to talk about just for a moment is how is that going for you? Because the attention will eventually reveal the intention. And while it is unavoidable, in my opinion, it is unavoidable for you to draw attention to yourself when you attempt to change. Whether it be crowds, small, large, crowds that know you, crowds that don't. The point is this. It is unavoidable to draw attention to yourself when changing and transitioning to another place, another season, another level, if you will, another dimension, another job, a new relationship. You see, it's unavoidable. So now, it reveals a couple of things, personally speaking. It could reveal further problems embedded in your consciousness that you still haven't dealt with. For instance, I'll use myself. It was very difficult for me when I was interviewing, and I went through several periods of weird stuff. Like, for instance, it was very difficult for me to accept compliments. And I learned later from my own digging and researching that those who can't take compliments very well still have the residue of victimization left in their thinking, in their subconscious. For real, seriously. I mean, you just don't think that you're okay or good enough. You want the compliment, but at the same time, you don't know what to do with it. Well, just say thank you. And then the opposite extreme of victimized thinking is that, well, now I have to do this to get attention. And so the point is that when you get out in front of that crowd, your old friends is part of that crowd, but then you're going to start attracting some new friends. Whether they come because the old friends suggested that they get on board or not, I don't know. The old congregation crowd, from your church, your rector, your sanctuary, your mosque, you're going to attract attention, and some of it's going to be good, and some of it's not going to be that great. But I'm talking about the recipient of the attention from the crowd. I mean, crowds inspire us. Crowds motivate us. They tell us their stories. They share with us their angle. We can see it from their perspective. But to be truthful, everybody can't handle what the crowd has to offer. And the crowd, in many of our cases, more often than not, reveals a hidden issue or two that can alter the direction of your campaign. And that's me included. I mean, that's just a human experience, you see. So I want to encourage you that we don't want to be public successes and private failures. We don't want to be a public success and a private failure, because we all have, someone said you never even know how you're going to respond. What would you do if you were called by, the top generals of your field, and you were given opportunities beyond the goals that you've written, beyond the imagined places that you have gone, beyond the experiences of your peers? What would you do? if you were given a multi-million-dollar contract beyond, for some of you have multi-million-dollar contracts, but the point is, but some of those that are listening to me right now that have those multi-million-dollar contracts know what I'm talking about. It's a bit more to deal with. And you've got to be ready. But how do you get ready? The only thing that I can tell you, because I don't have all the answers, remember that now. We just having a conversation. It's supposed to be a two-way conversation. You talk to me and I talk to you. But we're not perfect. And it's easy to suggest, well, if you follow A, B, and C, then by the time you get to D, it'll be this. No, The only thing that I can tell you is this. If you remain as integral as you possibly can, if you remember your ethics and your morals, if you allow the crowd to inspire, to inspire you, not to control you. Too many of us are controlled by our environment anyway. That's a whole nother topic, but maybe that's a part of the topic. We're controlled by the crowd. If the crowd boos you, then you are feeling low. As a singer, you learn to work the crowd. You learn to change the atmosphere and the mood of the crowd. You see. And that isn't essentially what you have to do in your campaign for More for Life, really, to be honest with you. You got to work the crowd. Don't let the crowd work you. You look out in the audience and you see a little 2-year-old running around and giving mother a fit while you're singing a love song. Excuse me. Boy, I don't know what's going on, but these early mornings in the studio, getting out there and getting myself ready to go to the studio every morning. It's a bit much when the weather changes. But, the issue is you got to be integral on the inside so that, because you're going to grow. You're going to change. And you're going to be better. But the question is, will you use that exposure for right, for wrong, for good, or for bad? It depends on how integral you've been through the process. You're gonna feel a little something when you get out there. When they start calling your name, you're gonna feel a little something. Get that title, you're gonna think you're doing something. But the thing about it is this: you don't want to become addicted to attention. And that's my final word to you. You don't want to become addicted to attention. Attention is coming. So maybe that's the subject that you need to put in your hat today. You're not always going to be where you are now. All the handsomeness of the crowds will begin to stand out eventually. The beauty of the crowd will begin to stand out. The colors, all of these things will begin to peak as you move forward in your transition and in your change. Your car is going to change. Your car is going to attract a crowd. You pull up in a Ferrari, people gonna watch and they gonna look, and folk that wouldn't care nothing about you gonna look just because you got a Ferrari. Can you handle it? At least you need to be aware. As you grow, you're gonna draw attention to yourself. People gonna talk to you that never talked to you before. Gonna speak to you. People ain't never thought about you to speak to you. Now gonna speak to you. You get a little something in your pocket, a little something in your investment portfolio, and folk gonna want to holler at you and want to have coffee with you. They want to have cocktails with you. The question is, are you gonna be integral enough to be able to handle it by the time you get there? I can't answer the question. That's up to you. I'm the coach. This the show. I'll see you on day 22.